Butler, who's now officially a member of the subcommittee. Thank you so much for being here. Also want to welcome Kelly. And I'm so sorry, Kelly, I have a funny last name too.
Okay.
Can you maybe just say it one time? Because people always stumble over my name and I don't want to do that to you.
Yeah, no problem. It's Pupor. So I'm from upstate New York. There's a lot of us up there, but Pupor. But if you mispronounce it, I'm not going to be upset. So thanks.
Well, thank you. Well, welcome. We will all strive to do our best. And then I believe Kim McManus is going to come, who is our new co-chair. We are very, very fortunate for that situation. So I think she'll be here soon, I hope. But let's look at our first item on our agenda today. Just welcome. Lisa and I thought we'd just do kind of a quick icebreaker to kind of, wake up. And so the theme is spring. What is your favorite thing about springtime? And I know for me, especially coming from California, as a lot of you know, sunshine is back today. We have an abundance down here in Brattleboro. And I may have shared last time, I love the NBA, so it's playoff time. It's been a lot of fun and exciting games. You can hate, I'm a Warriors fan, so it's fun to talk trash when the Celtics lose. That's cool. That's me. That's what I'm excited about during the springtime. And I will pass it off to Lisa.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Favorite thing about spring is definitely like the new grass, the blooming flowers and trees, and different things popping up. It just smells good and looks pretty. So that's my favorite thing about spring. I'm going to pass it to Dan Bennett.
Hello. Favorite thing about spring, the increase in sunlight. I feel like I'm not as depressed anymore. I can get out and actually be outside and exercise, and I apologize for the baby in the background. Sorry, I'll pass it off to Kelly Pupur. Did I say that wrong?
No, that was perfect. So, kind of the typical answer. I like the rebirth of everything. We went from having no leaves on trees to blooms, and things are coming back out. Obviously, like you said, Dan, the sun is out, so I don't have to take as much vitamin D supplement anymore, which you should all be doing, by the way. And I'll pass it off to Mara, since you're right next to me on my screen.
Thanks, Kelly. Boy, that's a good question. Spring. What I like is that last night it was still in the 30s overnight, so it's not summer yet. And I appreciate that about Vermont spring because I hate hot weather. So that's just the reality. And I forgot if I'm supposed to do something that isn't just that bonding activity.
Just pass it.
Okay, sweet. I will pass it to Susanna.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Susanna Davis, Racial Equity Office. And my favorite thing about spring is the heat at a sort of poor, primitive level, because I was built for the Caribbean. But it's more than that. It's when this is intangible. When the heat comes, my corporeal self is happy, but it's like it triggers something here, and it feels like, don't laugh at me, it feels like opportunity. I don't know. I just feel like this spring stuff's gonna happen. I'm gonna do stuff. I'm gonna leave my house one day. That's how I feel. And I don't actually go, but you don't know that. At the beginning of spring, anything's possible. I'm going to pass it to Karen.
Did you say my name? Oh, okay. Thank you. I love that, Susanna. Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Tronsgard-Scott from the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. Spring is my favorite season by far. I come alive. As everything else comes alive. And one of the best things, besides the first hummer that showed up at my house today, the first hummingbird, outside of my front door is a ornamental crabapple tree. And after it started blooming last week, but the weather it just kind of was held in suspended animation. And then yesterday it popped, and it is this just the most incredible pink tree. And then this magical happens, the bees show up. And so just before this meeting, I stepped out on the porch and the tree is buzzing with bees. And it makes me just so happy, and agree with you, Susanna. There's so much potential in the spring. So I'm really happy. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Greg.
Good morning, all. I have a same tree out front of my house, and I absolutely love this time of year. It's this brief window, right? It's like week or 2 weeks, and then it's not 2 weeks, but a week or so, and then it disappears. But love that. That plus all the people emerging from their houses and seeing them in the neighborhoods walking around. It's different. It's definitely different, and I love it. And I'll pass it to Glenn.
What I like most about spring, I believe, is I love mowing my lawn. So I have a push mower, and I really enjoy mowing my lawn, and then sitting outside and just looking at it. It's kind of goofy, but I don't know. I just really like doing it. So yeah, that's what I like about spring. I can mow my lawn again. I'll pass it on to Wesley. Did he go already? No.
Nope. I think my favorite, I've got two favorite things. One, I'm a beekeeper and I've got a bunch of beehives and they're rip roaring, and seeing that life come in the spring, because all winter you wonder if they're alive in there, and then all of a sudden they are overwhelmingly alive in there. So that's awesome. I love that. And then not having to spend 45 minutes dressing my kids to go outside and fighting them tooth and nail. I love that. That's great.
All right.
Kim,
did
I
we
think.
miss anybody?
Did Kim go?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we all share. Thank you all very much. And yeah, all of that resonates. I can't help but being an
No,
educator.
Kim hasn't gone.
Oh, yeah, Kim did not go. So sorry. Yes.
That is okay. I love the longer day. Kind of always feel like I live my day putting like 2 or 3 days in one. And in the winter, that's exhausting. But in the spring and summer, it's like the best. So I love, like, I prefer to 5 to 9 as second afternoon in the spring. And like I get to play in second afternoon. So we're like in ideal time right now. So love it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim. Yeah, I think that was everybody. So thanks for sharing. And yeah, lots of energy. As per usual, being an educator, being the nerd, I always think of Tolstoy's famous line, spring is the time of planning or for planning. So nice to hear all this energy and see how we can connect that to all the work we do on the subcommittee. I'm looking at our next item, just the additions or deletions to the agenda. So this is the time. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Any thoughts about our agenda for today? All right. Hearing none, I think we should move on to the next item of our agenda, the approval of minutes from April 14th, 2025. If we mailed out the agenda, there's a link there if you need to or want to review it. But let's approve this. Will somebody entertain a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Glenn. So moved by Glenn. Is there a second to that motion?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I saw Karen. Thank you so much. That motion is on the floor. Do we have any amendments or modifications about those minutes? All right, I'm hearing none. So let's move to vote to accept those minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I'll just abstain since I wasn't here last time.
Thank
Same.
you.
Same.
All right. Okay. All those who oppose, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. All right. Hearing none, the motion passes and the minutes are accepted for April 14th, 2025. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4, public comment. I don't know if we have people from the public here, but Kim, I believe I forwarded you. I did get an email last night from Ann Schrouder, who often attends and had a comment. Is that something should we share that now, or are we not allowed to do that since that person isn't present?
I think she shared it, wanting it to be a public comment, so I think it's fine to share it.
Okay, I printed it out, so can I'll just read it? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Ann just wrote, I'm going out of town, so I thought I'd send along a public comment for FIP sub. Something I'm wondering about is how this bill would affect the FIP policy. This was S-148, expanding Good Samaritan protections concerning immigration. This bill proposes to prohibit Vermont law enforcement agencies, officers, and persons acting on the behalf of Vermont resources to assist federal immigration authorities with civil or criminal immigration investigations or proceedings. This bill requirements extend to situations covered by, I might kind of botch this, I'm sorry, help me, Kim, 12 VSA 7306 and 18 VSA 4254. However, the bill proposes to carve out to provided pursuant to a warrant or an independent investigation. The bill did not pass, but it could be brought up again next year. I know that's kind of meaty. I can always put that comment in the chat if that makes sense. But this is just something that Ann Schrouder, from a colleague from the NAACP, wanted to share as a public comment. And then I don't know, do we have anybody else right now from the public that has any comments for us? And I don't think so. I'm not seeing any. All right. Moving on to our next item on the agenda, item 5, update on mandatory 2025 FIP training. I believe I'll pass the mic over to you, Lisa, for this. I do see a hand over. Yeah, Karen.
I'm going back to Ann's comment. Is there a need for us to respond to that comment since she's not here, or just document that we've acknowledged having received the comment?
Thank you, Karen. And please jump in, Lisa or Kim, but I believe with the public comments, we don't respond.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Well, in the moment, like right now, we wouldn't get into a big discussion on that comment, but if the subcommittee wanted to put on the next meeting, wanting to discuss that further, we could do that. We just wouldn't want to, since we didn't notice that this would be a conversation, we can't have it now. But if the public comment is something that triggers an interest in the committee to look at something or discuss something, then someone could ask for it to be on the next agenda item.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
Kim, is that something we should relay to Anne or no? Just that if
I mean, depending on,
it's hard, she's not here, so.
Yeah, I think Daniel can say that her public comment was read during public comment.
Yeah.
As if she was here, and
okay,
as if she was here, we wouldn't get into it right now, but again, later, if any discussion time we want to take it up at another time, we can do that.
Sure.
Thank you for the question, Karen. Thanks, Kim and Lisa. Yeah, item number 5, update on mandatory 2025 FIP training. And again, I think that's you. Thanks,
yep,
Lisa.
Thanks, Daniel. Just a quick update. We've have 809 folks registered for the training at a 93% completion rate, which is pretty good. I think we've seen the trend kind of slow down a little bit in the last few weeks. This is about half law enforcement in the state has registered for it. So I did send out an email to law enforcement last week, just reminding them that even though they have until the end of the year to complete, it would be great if they could get that done, so that we're not scrambling last minute. I also recognize Susanna had brought up last meeting about sending out kind of a midpoint survey around folks' thoughts and experiences with the training. I'm happy to talk about that idea more with this committee. Maybe something we can aim for June around, figuring out some type of survey or something. So Mara, do you have any other updates regarding the I know you're kind of doing the compliance and tracking, but that's where we are for that. So those of you who are law enforcement on the call, please communicate to your colleagues that it is an important mandatory training that needs to get done. Thank you.
Actually, Lisa, did you want to mention the non-sworn folks?
Oh, sure. That's actually a great idea. Burlington Police Department reached out to me last week asking if they're, I think they call them community service, not officers, I can't remember the term, but folks who are not sworn as law enforcement, but go out in the community and are working with people as law enforcement would on a regular basis, if they could take the training. My response was yes, that's great. And for them to just, in the registration piece, let us know that they are non-sworn so we can keep track of that and it doesn't mess with our compliance for sworn law enforcement officers. But I thought it was great that they reached out. They're wanting to expand the training to folks who work under their police department but aren't sworn law enforcement. So if other folks who are law enforcement on this call have those types of relationships with any type of community service folks under the police departments or various agencies, that would be fine. Just please have them put in their bios when they're registering for the training that they are non-sworn. Thanks, Mara. Daniel?
Yeah, I'm so glad you share that because within, I believe the last year down here in Brattleboro, we have something similar. Some folks, I forgot exactly what the program it is, but they just kind of walk around downtown, check out spots. And again, it's under the umbrella of Brattleboro Police Department. That's something that would help us out. I could check in here, but I'm really glad to see them out and about. And I have no idea if they are even aware if they've done the training or not.
Yeah, that's I don't know if you communicate regularly with Chief Hardy, but if not, like, I'm happy to reach out, or you could. It doesn't matter, but I think she would be supportive of this and her folks who engage in the communities. Karen?
I'm just curious because I got a notice this morning for the Vermont State Police Fair and Impartial Policing Committee, and I'm just wondering if there's any interplay between the VSP FIP committee and the rollout of the policy. It's just a curiosity. You may not know the answer, and that's perfectly fine.
I would pivot to Dan as co-chair of VSP FIP. Yes, any thoughts?
Actually, yeah, thank you so much. I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time, Karen?
Sure. I'm just curious if there's anything going on the VSP FIP that anybody's heard about in relationship to the rollout of the policy. I mean, I can find out. I just thought maybe somebody might know something.
Dan Bennett, who's co-chair of FIP for VSP, do you want to comment?
Yeah, nothing new as far as I know.
Okay.
Did you have any specifics, like what sort of things you were?
No, not really. I just wondered. I mean, I look to VSP as, the statewide leader, and so I just had a curiosity. But I mean, it's not a burning curiosity. I know that the VSP has been out in the front in terms of fair and impartial policing for a really long time. So, just a curiosity. Sorry, I don't want to make more work for anybody, or
No, yeah,
I
appreciate
retract
that.
my
No.
question.
Yeah, no, I think that we kind of been doing business this way for a while. So
Thank you so much.
yeah.
And I'll just add that Mara and I are meeting with Dan and Aton in person. Is that next month? I think June maybe, just to kind of build that collaboration and those relationships. And we're excited for that partnership to continue. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen and Dan Bennett. Sorry, Lisa, I might have got mixed up with the Daniels there for a moment. That's on me.
Oh,
I think we
that's
can move
okay.
on. Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I thought you're grilling me. I'm joking. Looking at the agenda, I think we can move on to item 6, updates from Vermont Police Academy. I know in the past, Director Burkell takes this, but I don't know if I see that person here. So is that
No,
you or Mara?
I'm happy to jump in, and yeah, Director Bertrell could not be here today for this meeting. But just a couple, I had talked to him this morning, so a couple things to share. One, I think you all know this, graduation is happening on the 30th. That is a Friday. We're super excited for this. This class has, like all classes, have worked extremely hard, and we would appreciate any members of the public and any members of this committee and the council to attend. If you haven't been before, it's a pretty amazing day that we're really looking forward to. So if you have questions, thoughts, and you need anything regarding that, just please feel free to reach out. But it's 10 to 12 on the 30th here at the Academy. The other thing that Chief wanted me to mention is that, and we did mention this on the council meeting, I don't know if everyone was attending, but we are holding a naturalization ceremony on June 25th here at the Academy. We are really excited for this partnership in working with Judge Lanthier, Mary Kay Lanthier, into making this happen. That starts at 11 a.m. Of course, all of you are welcome to that. We're kind of working out all the details and things right now. But that's, something that we feel is just like a perfect collaboration and able to hold the ceremony here, and had a meeting last week with the clerk that organizes all of this. So they're excited, everyone's excited. And again, that's 11 o'clock on June 25th here at the Academy in the gym. Typically, we don't have all the numbers yet, but it's usually about 20 to 25 people getting naturalized. And then their families and friends, whoever, any amount. There's no really limit. So we're really excited to be holding this celebration for folks. Happy to answer any questions. Kim?
Not a question, but just a reminder. Maybe a week or so ago, there was a big, not big, but there was a joint meeting to review the fair and impartial policing policy at the legislature, just kind of educating legislators on what exists. And it was wonderful. And there was a number of good shout outs to the subcommittee here for your good work. But what was interesting was during a break, was telling legislators how they should come to the graduation, and was basically throwing out invites, whether I was allowed to do that or not. I was to the graduation. And what was really interesting was that so many of the legislators didn't know that it was a public event, or that they could just come to the Academy whenever they wanted, that it's a public building. So just putting out a reminder to everyone, even if you think folks know that they would be welcome at graduation, they might not. So throw the invite out, encourage folks to go. I think a number of the Rutland legislators may come, and they were delighted when Chris sent the formal invite after me just casually inviting everybody. They were really excited about it. So assuming the legislative session is done, they're going to be coming. But it was just an important reminder that I know that it's welcoming there, and it's only because I work there. So send remind folks in all your various circles that they'd be welcome to come see it.
Thank you, Kim. Really appreciate you kind of advocating for us up there in the legislature. And yeah, Chief sent out a formal invitation to the committee. So we hope to get some folks here that might not know much about the academy and may have certain ideas or opinions and would love to have them come here and see it for themselves. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim. Thank you, Lisa. And yeah, I was just so happy at the last council meeting to hear that the Vermont Police Academy is doing that. I think that's just wonderful, and just reviewing the policy and community relations. It's just fantastic that we're doing that. So thank you so much. All right. I believe our next item 7, discussion on meeting time and a possible vote. Last week when I met with Lisa and Kim, we were just wondering if folks, is there a better time? Is this stressful? You're trying to sandwich this in between other activities or meetings. I think I've shared before with all of you. For me, this is wonderful. I don't work on Mondays, so Monday is great, but we are also very cognizant that maybe, other times or days would work for folks. So this is your chance to, share your opinion, your schedule, to see it. We just want to make sure that, we can all be here as consistently as possible.
I can say that Monday is the best day for me. So I'm just going to speak up and say that.
Yeah, I think Kim, you have a hand up, and thank you so much, Glenn.
Yes, I have 2 thoughts. One, my guess is, and I'd throw it out to the committee, we probably don't need to block 2 hours of time for our meetings right now, but part of that's assessing our workload going forward. But if we don't think we need 2 hours, I'd like to advocate for us putting it to an hour, with the idea that we can always change that. And then only apologies to be contrary to Glenn on his Monday's the best day. Going into the summer, I don't know for others whether folks are planning to try and take longer weekends, like whether Mondays will consistently be good for folks over the summer. Just throwing it out there. I don't know if folks know if they've already scheduled their time. I, for some reason, have 4 back-to-back meetings on Mondays, which I think is tragic, but that's my problem. And the FIP committee only meets once a month, so it's completely doable. But I would happily look to a different day if others had any interest. But I also can keep Mondays, as when Glenn said that there was a lot of heads that nodded that Mondays are good days. So not a huge deal.
Thank you, Kim. And as I said before too, I think for right now, I feel like 1 hour would be fine. I know when I joined the subcommittee, it was like right at the tail end of, I know the subcommittee spent so much time, Amanda working on the policy, that maybe during that time, 2 hours was, needed. But right now, I believe 1 hour is plenty. Anybody else? Any ideas, opinions, thoughts?
I think moving it to an hour makes sense for right now.
All right, great. And I see your comment in there. Thank you so much, Susanna. Unless if anybody else has an opinion or idea, I think we can move on to item number 8. Discussion on subcommittee responsibilities. And yes, Lisa, I see your hand.
Do we need to vote on this new time? Or short in length, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Great
I think
question.
it'd be good if we're, yeah, just for the standing meeting, if it's going to be from 11 to 12, just to be neat and clean, it'd be good to vote on that. And then Lisa or Mara can update the website at the council.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim, for always helping us be as neat and clean as possible.
Mm.
So I believe, right, Lisa, just the way I do the minutes, I need somebody to entertain a motion to accept the new change in our meetings from 2 to 1 hours.
And just to clarify, we'd be keeping the start time as 11.
Got it.
I'm
Thank you.
happy to move that forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. So moved by Kim. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Awesome. So the motion is on the floor. Do we have any other, I don't know, questions, amendments to this? I'm hearing none. So let's move to vote to accept the change from 2 hours to 1 hour, still starting at 11. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Excellent. All those opposed, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Wonderful. I'm hearing none. So the motion passes. And from now on, we will have just a 1 hour meeting, 11 to noon. Thank you so much, everyone. All right.
I'll also update that in the series of calendar invites, so it's reflected in folks' calendars.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa. All right. That's item 7. So let's move on to item 8, discussion on subcommittee responsibilities. Recently, again, when I met with Lisa and Kim, we were discussing our subcommittee and how do we support the Vermont Criminal Justice Council. So I don't know, again, here too, if Lisa or Kim, if we want to like expand what we talked about, but we've just been really thinking, what are our responsibilities? What are we doing? We pass FIP. What does the rest of this year look like? And then going into next year as well.
Can I ask a question? I was not at the council meeting last week. Was there a discussion council level about committees?
Let me just go back to my notes real quick, Kim.
Or did that not happen, Lisa?
There wasn't, I think there's a brief discussion, but I think they're planning on a much bigger discussion next month about the roles and responsibilities of committees. So we had put this agenda together before we knew there was going to be that change at the council level in their agenda. But
Okay.
I still think we can, I think that at the council level, it's going to be more like a bigger discussion on like logistics and, people making sure they're invested in committees and things like that. As far as our roles here, that's for us to decide. And I think it would be supported by Chief Burkell. So I would still love to have this conversation and hear what folks' thoughts are, knowing that the next FIP mandatory training would be for 2027. And I believe Kim and Daniel, we talked about the review of the FIP policy. And again, that doesn't mean we need to change it, but just review it by, is it January 1, 2026?
Yeah.
Yes. So I asked that question only to make sure I didn't talk over any decisions that were made on the council level. But when Daniel and Lisa and I were speaking last week, what I had raised, and this has come up, I believe, in some past FIP subcommittee meetings, was, this subcommittee was originally designed to focus on training and then was pulled into policy work and did a very good job with that policy work. But I had definitely heard, or I felt like I heard, folks feeling pulled in two directions of policy work and training. And so wondering whether this subcommittee still wants to have both, to be the subcommittee that does the initial review and any suggestions on policy changes to the council, and is looking at not just mandatory training, but other trainings that might supplement or augment the mandatory training, and whether there was any strong feelings on the subcommittee about that. We are required to review the policy before January 1, 2026. And by we, that means the council. So, and again, it's not that we have to make changes. The way it's worded is that we have to review and then update if necessary. So we feel like there's maybe out of this legislative season, if there's any changes that occur, maybe we would need to. I don't think there will be any in the next 2 weeks. But we would need to put it on the council's agenda to review, officially review the policy and either yay or nay the need for any changes sometime this fall. So that's definitely something on our calendar right now because it does sit with us. But big picture, do we want the policy work to be in this subcommittee, or would we want to recommend that that goes elsewhere? That's one of the topics that we were curious about what folks thought about.
Thank you, Kim. And I believe Karen has a question and or comment.
Well, I just want to say all of that makes really good sense to me, Kim. There's a couple things that just popped to the top of my mind. One of them is the role that this subcommittee can play in understanding the needs of the field and how we get to making sure that we're making recommendations to the full council or that we're taking on work that makes sense for the field and addresses the needs of the field. The other thing that occurs to me is, and Lisa, thank you so much for putting this language into the chat. We know that the Police Academy is currently working with IADList and their evaluation on creating goals and objectives for training. And so when I'm noting that, Lisa, you put that the Fair and Impartial Policing Subcommittee is tasked with reviewing and updating basic fair and impartial policing curriculum. I wonder if that's going to be some of our work in the future, based on the work, and I'm not on any of those committees, those IADList committees, thankfully, but I wonder if there'll be any work that comes to us resulting from that review.
Thanks, Karen. I can speak to the IADList part, which is honestly still kind of confusing for me. But my understanding is we have this contract with IADList, who's an accreditation body, right, to update and review our entire basic training curriculum. FIP has already been done. When I started in November, I think they had just finished that. So I kind of saw the end product. My understanding is that in 2027, it will be piloted, and then that will be the opportunity to provide any feedback, which seems a little bit backwards to me. But again, I don't really understand the whole trajectory. I don't know, Kim, if when you were here, if you do, but I just, that's as much as I know. So I think down the road, there'll be opportunities for us to speak about it and about the curriculum and even maybe like survey law enforcement. But basically, IADList has what we've done and what has been Dan and Aton's work for the basic FIP. And they have taken that along with other information from law enforcement agencies across the country on this topic and kind of created something a little bit different. I don't know if that's helpful, Karen.
No, thank you for those comments, Lisa. Anybody else, any other thoughts about what you think our responsibilities are moving forward? I think too, but maybe part of it, please correct me if I'm wrong, Kim and Lisa, is just making sure we're keeping the momentum, and we are here for a reason, not just to check off a box or something. And yes, Lisa, I see your hand.
Yeah, that makes sense, Daniel. I agree with that. And just to Karen's point, I just want to to also highlight, like, I appreciate and think we should be responding to the needs of the field. And so what might that look like, even though we're in this kind of this realm of figuring out curriculum, I do think there's opportunities for us to either create or develop or brainstorm around in-service trainings that we can offer to law enforcement around FIP related topics, if the committee so chooses.
Kelly, I see a hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to join in with Lisa and to say that, I think absolutely we need to make training a priority. And I am so excited that we have a lot of physical training that's going on. I think there could be some room for some trainings about de-escalation, about, law enforcement, you know better than me, maybe we already are doing this, but what we're seeing at the Human Rights Commission, a lot of times it seems like frustration plays a role sometimes in these interactions that go badly. So, in terms of prevention, I don't like seeing cop cases, frankly. So, or at least in our office. So, I wonder if there's more training that could be done about discrimination, about, different ways that our office isn't seeing complaints of that nature. Or as many complaints, I should say.
And thank you so much, Kelly. We're so glad you're here, and thank you for those comments. Anyone else? This is your opportunity. Any thoughts about, again, our responsibilities, kind of balancing the training and policy? Okay, I'm hearing none. And our last item, item
Daniel.
9. Yes.
Greg has his hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not see your hand there, Greg. My apologies.
Yeah, no problem. Are there any words written anywhere else that defines where the policy creation lays or lies? Is there another subcommittee that is explicitly directed towards creating policy, or is that just a void currently that we picked up?
Yeah, I'm happy to comment on that, Greg. There is not a policy subcommittee, and I think it's an interesting question that I believe the council has, that maybe not at a council meeting discussed, but it could be something coming up of what, since there are a number of statewide policies, right, that fall under the Criminal Justice Council, whether we would want sort of a policy review subcommittee. I think that is a conversation, and within that conversation would be whether this committee, would like that or would not like that, right? Like whether this subcommittee wants to hold on to the FIP policy, but right now there is not a policy specific group at the moment.
That's helpful. I just didn't want to, I didn't want to have this conversation if we were going to step on another committee's toes. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think my other comment to Lisa and Mara is, and I know things are so busy over at the academy, especially this time of year, but the subcommittees, our ultimate purpose is to support the academy and the council. And so if there is something that the executive director or the chair wants the subcommittee to focus on, I think we need to be very open to that directive. Like that's our purpose, is to be helpful. So if there is something that you want kind of put in primary and something secondary, like we need that direction.
I
And that
think
was an
that,
excellent.
sorry.
No, you go for it. You go, Lisa. You go.
I was just gonna say, I think that that makes a lot of sense, Kim. And as far as training, I'm really looking to the law enforcement on this call and this committee for any feedback and what you're seeing or hearing in your communities or your interactions. And I know different communities have different needs, but I'm not out in the field either, so it'd be helpful to have some thoughts.
Yeah, Greg, I see your hand.
So law enforcement on this call is really limited, right? We don't have a lot of, we're not spanning a large geographic area here. We're very
Sure.
lucky in Chittenden County. We train a lot here. We do FIP training with all of our new officers before they start, and we do training throughout the year. I think every agency is very different, and I think we need to cast a little bit of a wider net, whether that's through the chief's listserv or other methodologies to gather that information. Vermont, we all know it. Vermont law enforcement is very, very different, right? Like we have really teeny tiny agencies, and we have small agencies that we don't have any really large agencies when you speak nationally, right? So it's very different. I think we just need to capture more information from a wider group than is represented on this call.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. I didn't want to make suggestions and comments of somebody who's not in the role and doing the work in that way. And I struggle to say this word, but I maybe a survey. I know people hate surveys. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's worked in the past. I don't know.
Yeah, Lisa, when you reminded us that I suggested that at a previous meeting related to the current iteration of the training, when you said that, I thought, oh yeah, no, never mind. I actually don't like this idea anymore because I think it depends, right? A lot of times, as careful as you are in survey design, you will still inevitably, depending on how you structure it, you will still inevitably get feedback that is not actually germane to the purpose of the survey, right? How many times have you read a review that's like, this product, I give it 1 star because it's cheaper somewhere else. And it's like, that has nothing to do with the product, right? So I think in the same vein, if we're going to get substantive feedback that helps us improve the quality of what we're doing, then that's one thing. But if it's instead used or misunderstood as an opportunity for people to complain in general about a state of affairs that they don't like, or a policy decision or a shift towards a particular approach that they don't like, then it makes our work more difficult, and it reduces the scientific value of a survey. So I don't know. I guess I'm still of two minds about it. I think that if we could craft it in a way that gives us real actionable data, then cool. But if we don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze, then I'm also fine with not doing it. It's going to depend on who your audience is and what you're asking and how you structure it.
Thanks, Susanna.
Lisa, I don't have the notes in front of me, but when Amanda had walked us through the potential training topics, and then the training was narrowed down, I think there are some, I think we have a list of some topics out there that maybe we can revisit. And not to say there's one or another. I think we should still talk about how we can be hearing from the field what they want. But I think we may have some information already that we can go back to.
Thanks for that reminder, Kim. Yeah, I was trying to find that. I don't know if I can find it quick enough right now for this meeting, but I could
We can maybe look at
circulate
it for the next
or
one.
for the next
'Cause I felt like
meeting,
there were
yeah.
some good things in there, and that we had even, I'm having a memory that we had sort of a short list of like, oh, but that would be good for
Yeah,
non-mandatory
actually,
training, and I
I-
just can't remember.
I think I have it actually right here. Some of the other things were proper procedures and context for different types of stops. So like handling car stops, domestic violence incidents, Terry stops, language access, protected classes. And then, as you know, we did this last training on changes in the policy and demographic and data collection and civil and criminal versus criminal. That's what I have from this document that Amanda had shared, actually. So yeah, we could, I mean, that might be a good starting place.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
and
finding
then-
that, Lisa.
And this could be for next time too, but I'm having all these memories, no notes, but all these memories, that when we had talked about the language access piece, there was a really interesting conversation about how different agencies had interesting different resources and how we could maybe pull some of those resources to make them available statewide, as far as around access and different techniques or strategies that departments were using. And again, I can't think of a specific example, but I remember thinking, why doesn't everybody have, this idea? And I think, Greg, you had mentioned something that South Burlington had that, and again, I'm not putting you on the spot. I can't remember what it was, so don't worry.
Yeah, it's called
But
Elsa.
but that could be, that could be a great use for our subcommittee to gather what, all the good things that are going on out there, and share those.
That's a great idea. I like that a lot.
I mean, that would be nice, especially because this training that was just released mentions using, your phone and using Google Translate or whatever the apps. So
Yeah,
there really is no excuse, right? It's built in to each one of these, right? We should be able to do it, and it's addressed in this training. So that would be an easy, just a reminder, a constant reminder, like, hey, you have it, you have it, you have it.
I like that a lot.
Even within that, Greg, not to get too far ahead, but I know the limited times I've tried to use Google Translate and like things kind of went off. Like it doesn't always work right well, or but like you probably or others in the field have probably developed ways to like, here's how to make this easier, keep the sentences short or like whatever, I don't know. There's probably not only pulling the resources together and listing them, but then giving like, sort of inside knowledge of how to use them well, through your experience. And I think I can only imagine that officers would appreciate hearing that from other officers, right? Of what's working and what works well.
I love that. I think that's maybe something if folks are interested, we could put on for next month. Yeah. And I'm also noticing what Karen put in the chat. Yes, our community kind of collaborations and relationships, the naturalization ceremony, as well as Rutland County Pride, which we're all very excited about.
Yeah, thank you for that in the chat, Karen, and thank you also, Greg, for that link. All very, very helpful. Great comments, great questions. Always such an honor to be here and to learn and to think of how we can all help out our community here in Vermont. Unless if we have any other thoughts or questions about our subcommittee's responsibilities, I think we can move on to item number 9, motion to adjourn. Yes, Lisa.
Sorry. I should have done this at the beginning of the meeting. Kelly, I'm not sure you know everybody, do you? That was my fault. I apologize.
From context clues or people saying where, but also, I'm just trying to just figure it out myself because I'm an investigator. So, and then I thought I would fact check myself later. So I'm guessing Dan Bennett is from Vermont State Police. Yep. And I'm guessing
Yeah,
that Glenn
sorry.
Boyd is from DOC. And this is killing me. All right. Wesley, I see the taxidermy head and it makes me think that you're in Fish and Wildlife, but I don't know. Is that right? Okay, cool. Greg, I'm at a loss. Oh, okay. Great. And Karen, you said that you're with the domestic violence. I didn't catch the rest of it.
It's the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. We're the statewide coalition.
Gotcha. And then the other folks, can you enlighten me?
I can go. Hi, Kelly. I am with the Department of State's Attorneys and Sheriffs, and I was formerly the attorney at the council.
Oh, sorry, I'm off mute. You can hear all my clicking. I'm Susanna Davis from the Office of Racial Equity, which is in the Agency of Administration.
Yeah, and we met like a long time ago, but your image was not immediately available, so I didn't guess on you. I'm sorry, Susanna. And Mara, are you at the academy too? And just to fill you guys in, I'm an attorney investigator. As you probably noticed, I'm very different person from Amanda. And I just wanted to share, I have, in prior roles, I was a prosecutor for about 6 years in total. So I do have some knowledge of law enforcement's, what you guys do. I technically was law enforcement in the past. So I come with some insider knowledge, but I also come with the human rights slant of things. So I would like to think that I'm kind of somewhere in the middle of how can we, achieve the goals of public safety while making sure that, rights aren't violated and all that stuff. So I'm happy, to be involved in anything. I think I'm approachable, but please email me or give me a call about anything that I can be of service with. I'm really looking forward to working with you guys. So.
Likewise, Kelly, that was deeply impressive, and I think that was a really fun way to sort of wrap this up. And yeah, I'm Daniel Guerra. I'm down in Brattleboro, Windham County. I'm with the NAACP, and I'm an educator. And as I've shared before a few times, but I come from a family of law enforcement. My father was a sheriff for many years. One of my uncles was a cop out in California, another uncle a detective. So I'm certainly not a cop, but just grew up around law enforcement and wanting to help my community. Yeah, thanks. Well, I think, yeah, look at it. It's right now high noon. I think we can move on. Motion to adjourn. Will someone entertain a motion to adjourn?
Happily make
Great.
a motion to it.
Thanks, Greg. I saw your hand. So moved by Greg. Is there a second motion
second.
to adjourn? Oh, a lot of us. So I think all in favor, you can raise your hand and say aye, and we can go get lunch.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Looks like it. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you
Thank you,
next
Daniel.
time.
Thanks, Lisa.
Always
Have
so
a good
great
day,
to be
everybody.
here. Enjoy the
care.
Thank you.
sunshine.
Take care.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Daniel.
much.
Bye.
Bye.